welcome back to Scrap and Coffee. So I'm continuing with the Amethyst gatefold album, and I'm going to start with showing you how I did the frame that is part of the front cover. And after that we are going to start on constructing pages and everything. So in order to make the frame in the way that I did it, you're going to need 3 chipboard pieces, 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. And you are going to draw, I'm just using scraps here. I'm not going to use this and otherwise if I do want to use it, it doesn't matter. But on 2 of those chipboard pieces, you are going to draw a frame, a 5/8 inch frame. So what you're going to do is you are going to measure 5/8 of an inch from your cut edge on all 4 sides, and you are going to draw that pencil line. Then you are going to cut out that frame. Now this is just something that I recently started doing and I just enjoy doing it. It helps me a little bit. I'm going to punch on these corners where those pencil lines are meeting up. And I am going to get my Fiskars cutter in here. You can also do it with your ruler and knife. I do that a lot as well. I'm just going to line it up and make the first cuts on the pencil mark. So I'm just lining it up and just carefully, I don't want to go too far, but because I made that little punch, I sort of feel when I'm there, but still I'm being just careful here. One more side. So that's the start of that frame. And then I finish it off with my knife. And then turn it over and see if you need to maybe I'm already through. Corners aren't very clean, so clean that up if you need to. There we go. So I've already prepared the other one. You're going to do this on 2 pieces. And I'm going to, what you also need is 2 pieces of cardstock, 6 by 6, and 1 piece of cardstock, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, if I'm saying that correctly. Yep. And I'm going to get 1 of the 6 by 6 pieces in to start with. And I'm just going to glue one of the frames, centered as I can, on top of that cardstock piece. I'm just going to use my wet glue for showing you, and I think I actually did that for the construction as well. So you can use double-sided tape if you want. So I'm just covering this with some wet glue. There we go. I'm being one big mess here. And then place it as centered as you can. You want to have some nice spacing on the outside, on all 4 sides. Burnish it a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is, because you don't have to be really precise, but I want to have about 1/2 inch inward. So I'm going to line up my ruler with the chipboard edge, the inside chipboard edge, with the 1/2 inch mark, and then I'm coming 1/2 inch down from the chipboard edge on top, and the same thing from the bottom. And like I said, you don't have to be precise, but so I already have it there. I only need it here now. And one more. Just punch that, and then you can use a ruler if you want to, but I'm just, for some reason, if I just put my knife here and I keep my eye on the little punch that I made there, pull my arm back, I am going pretty much in the right direction. And like I said, you don't have to be precise because you're not going to see it anyway. So cut that out, and then I'm going to make my cut from the corner to the corner. I'm just going to wrap that chipboard, as you might have figured out already. There we go. And then I like to also get a scoring tool and score the edge right along that chipboard edge on all four sides. Pre-fold it a little bit. And then again, just using my wet glue, I'm going to stick that cardstock on that chipboard. Might look like I'm using a lot of glue, but really it's not much. So I'm just doing this on all four of the 1/2 inch flaps that we've created here. Okay, maybe you want to burnish it, the edges as well a little bit for a nice clean edge. Then what we also need is a piece of acetate, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. I cut mine a little bit too big, I see. I'm going to cut it down slightly because otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. So a piece of acetate, 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. I've used some 1/4 inch tape around the perimeter of that acetate, and I'm going to stick that right here on the back side of your chipboard frame. I'm just peeling off the tape backing and try to line that up nicely. I'm not going to use anything on the inside, it's just fine like this. You can if you want to, of course. So this is what we have on the front now. I'm going to put that to the side for a second. Then I'm going to get my second chipboard frame and my piece of cardstock that measures 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to glue that on the second frame. So you have a small, about 1/16 of an inch border on your chipboard. So I'm going to glue it right here, where I'm sure I'm not gonna glue all the way to the edge. I don't want to have any glue where I don't want it. And just place that on there. And give that a burnish if you want. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, what I just did on the other one. I'm going to mark 1/2 inch from the inside frames, so I can make that cut again and wrap that around the inside of the frame. There we go. It's just to clean up the inner edge of your chipboard frame. So get the other piece back in, and now I'm kind of thinking, I think I've placed it with this side up, and then right on top of that, trying to line up your frame as best as you can. So we are going to stick this on top of this and try to line it up nicely. So I think what I did was combine it a little bit with some double-sided tape because of the acetate there. So I'm just combining the double-sided tape with the glue, and I'm what I'm doing is placing it around the outer edge, the double-sided tape. And to be honest, it's been like 2 or 3 weeks since I've made this frame, so sometimes it's hard to recall what I did exactly. Because that's, I told you in the last video, right? That's the idea that I started this whole album with. So I was just creating it, trying it out, and it turned out pretty, way too much that I wanted, so. But then I didn't film it, of course. So I need to refilm that, but that's okay. Or just film it. So I'm combining it with the wet glue. Some little bit on the inside of the frame as well. You don't really need a lot. And then, like I said, we are going to stick it on top of there. Trying to line up a frame the best we can. Give that a burnish. Then our next step is I'm scoring along the outside chipboard frame. Like that, and again I'm pre-folding it. And then I also see my fold lines here a little bit, and that's going to help me with giving those corners a little miter. Again, don't go all the way to your chipboard corner, just like you would do for a cover. There we go. And then again, I'm going to wrap that around. So you might want to combine it with some double-sided tape if you like, or only use double-sided tape, of course, that's possible. So here, because I need to go over a higher piece, I do use my bone folder a little bit to break down the fibers. Do the other side first, the opposite side of the first flap. Because just like for your cover, you want to tuck in your overlappings, and it's not going to be much, but there, then turn it over and just, like I said, tuck in those overlappings. And actually, because it's quite high and not a lot of overlapping, it's quite easy to do. But you want to do it. There we go. So this is now a finished product. My little boy just woke up, so I don't know if you can hear him calling, but the next step that you are going to take is your other piece of chipboard that's not a frame, completely solid. Stick it on your other piece of 6x6. So again, as centered as you can. And again, I'm going to wrap this. So score along the edge of your chipboard, pre-fold, cut your corners, again with a little bit of spacing. This is just like a wrapping of your cover. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing I just did. I'm just going to fold all 4 sides over so you have a nice cleaned up piece of chipboard. Okay, so this is wrapped. This is going to be the side that you are going to use. What I did is I've got a piece of pattern paper just so that I had a small border all around for my background, so what you can see here. And then I've collected some pieces that I wanted in there. You can also do a photo, of course, that's also possible. But I've just get some stuff in there that I wanted to use and collaged it all together, and I've placed it. And then with using this one, I just checked if I was inside of the frame, and if I wasn't, then I had to replace it. So I didn't stick anything down, I was just trying out, had everything loose. You could even make a little mark on how far you can go, but you don't want to see that afterwards, of course. So create that, stick it down, stick your photo down on this one, and then you can stick this frame on top of here. And then your frame is done. So I decided that I'm not going to show you further because I might want to use it. It turns out pretty good, so I think it's a waste of throwing it away. And then what I did is this whole piece I've just stuck down right here on the first page, just there. And then when you close it, it falls in there. So what I did actually is close the frame and close the cover, sorry, and then place the frame in the opening that I had there. So that is how you construct a frame, and you can decorate that however you like to use that. So I'm going to put it to the side. I'm going to save it, maybe for another project. And then we are going to continue with the pages. I've prepared some stuff, but like I said in the previous video, I'm just going to build it up as we are going. Also, I'd like to apologize for any background noise. There's a construction site next to my house. It's terrible, but yeah, there's not a lot that I can do. So I've started decorating it a little bit, and I've prepared some stuff to go in the album, but I don't have a really obvious plan as of yet. But what I did prepare was what we are going to do on our back inside cover, and I did decide to cover this up with one whole piece so that I can work from there. Now I think I need to cut it down slightly maybe, or I'm a little bit off, but oh no, it's fine. So in my case, this piece is 8 7/8 in height and 8 5/8 in width. That I'm going to place there to cover up all these layers a little bit. So I've prepared it. I've put some double-sided tape on the back, and I'm going to combine that with some wet glue. So let's remove that. Put some wet glue on there for some wiggle time, but also some extra strength. And again, the measurements are pretty close together, so maybe you want to mark it for yourself what the right direction is. But I believe mine is this way. So I'm going to line it up with the bottom piece that I've used to cover the inside cover. So not the binding, although that's like almost the same. And I have about 1/8 inch from my gussets. Get my head in. I think that's fine. Now I'm just going to burnish it with my hand because I'm afraid that if I burnish it with my bone folder, I'm going to give too much pressure and you're still going to see all the layers. This looks much better. And I'm telling you, I'm started decorating and I'm so in love with this paper collection. And I'm combining it with some silver. I love it. And of course I'm going to use more acetate because also that I think will go so well with this collection. It's almost, I think it's almost turning out like wedding album something. Okay, then for our back inside cover, I've prepared 3 pieces. They're all 3 the same. We're gonna make a waterfall element for 7 by 5 photos. For that I've cut 3 pieces, 12 inches by 7 1/4, and I've scored it at 5 3/4 and 6 1/4. You can find that in the cutting guide. Tape on the dented side between those 2 score lines, and then I'm going to fold towards the bumpy side. Okay, so I have 3 of those pieces. Tape now is on the bottom. And I am going to place the first piece where I line it up with the piece of cardstock that I've just placed. So that's about 1/16 underneath the cover edge. And then I'm also going to see if I can measure out the spacing on the sides. Here I have 5/8, but I think it needs to be just over 5/8 of an inch. Yeah. Then I have 7/8 until my inner spine edge. Yep. So I'm kind of thinking, am I going to mark that? Probably, knowing me. 7/8. So that's right there. Okay, so I just made 2 tiny pencil marks here on the top. And it's hard to work with this large album also because I already have 2 pages in. We're not going to do that for all the pages. We're going to build them before we are going to place them in there. Okay. So I folded on one of the score lines and I have that folded edge on top. I'm going to remove that tape backing just a little bit so I have some time to place it where I want it. I have to get in camera here to see what I'm doing. Maybe I need to turn it around the book. But see, I'm just using the pencil mark and the edge of that piece of cardstock that I've just placed. And I think I'm happy with that. And there we go, give that a burnish. Then our second piece, if I'm going to place it, bumping it right up here, then you lose your waterfall element. So I'm going to make a little mark, 1/2 inch from my folded edge there. And that's going to be my mark on, let's see, 1/2 inch. So I went 1/2 inch down. And then I'm going to place it there. Now this is going to be hard because we want it to line up with this piece as well, of course. So that's what we are going to do. So again, I'm removing the tape backing partially. You can also do this with wet glue to give you wiggle time. So I'm eyeballing it that it's lined up on the sides. That's probably not correct, but I'm using the pencil marks here. I'm not pushing here because the tape backing there is removed. I'm placing this one down and line it up without pushing on the side where the tape backing is removed. This is where I want it. Now I'm pushing down on that. So just take your time, don't rush it. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to burnish it. The advantage of using a double-sided tape right now is that if you're not happy with your placement, you can use some undo to lift it back up. Wet glue can give you some wiggle time, so it's, yeah, whatever you prefer. And I'm going to repeat this one more time. So again, I'm going to make a mark 1/2 inch from that folded edge. There's a guideline. I have my 3rd piece. Remove that tape backing just a little bit. Eyeball it where I think I want it. Don't push on that side there. Bring this down. And I'm happy with this placement. So I'm pushing on it, hold it in place. Check again. Yes, I'm happy. And you know what I like about the waterfall doing it this way instead of giving every flap a hinge is that you reduce the bulk. It's I did it in, I think it was my Forest Love album for the first time. I've used this technique for a waterfall and I only did one, but I really loved how it's way more flat than the regular waterfall, but it's a little bit harder to place it and keep it nice and straight. You can always make some sort of guideline for yourself. If you look really great, you see that I'm not perfectly lined up here. I can live with that. And I'm probably going to use, I have a 3x4 cutter part out of the collection. I still need to finish this. And I think I'm going to use this with a magnet to keep it in place, but I'm not completely sure yet. And I think it's fun. We have a larger area, so we can do a waterfall for larger photos, or you can do 2 smaller photos, or you know, play around with it. And then here I can add something as well if I want to, or just place 1 large photo there. Let's see, what is the space that we have left. You can do a 6x4 even in the, it will fit right there. So you can also do like a collage of different size photos. I don't think 2, no, but maybe a 3x4 will fit there nicely. Yep, so you can also do a little collage. I think I am going to put a strip of the silver paper on the sides. But yeah, you're gonna see. But there is enough room. I don't know if I'm going to add too much stuff here because it's going to increase the bulk. So I think I just leave it, but I might change my mind. We'll see. First we are going to build the pages. And yeah, I'm going to build it as I go. So I don't think I will be making every page exactly the same. What I do know is that on this side where we have 2 inches, I've made this page shorter than this page, and that's what I'm going to do on this side. So I'm going to make 2 base pages that are 8 3/4 by 6 1/4. But maybe I'm going to do something with acetate, so I don't know yet. And this is my first, or actually my last page. And for that, I know that they are going to be 8 3/4 by 8 1/4, so longer. But I don't know yet. I haven't decided yet on how I am going to build them up. Like in the shorter pages, I'm going to make photo mats to go in here because you can easily take them out. On the longer pages, that's a little bit more difficult because you're almost against your hinge here. Of course, you can do it when you open them, but I don't think that's what I want to do. So I'm really indecisive in what it is that I want to do right here. So in order to make the binding page, I need to make some sort of pocket. So that can be a stack pocket or something, but I also have to think about, I don't want anything to catch on to each other. So there are a lot of elements that we need to consider. So I'm going to think about what I'm going to do for my first page that I'm going to make, but that's actually your last page. I'm probably going to call it page number 7 because this was 1 and this was 2, so this will be page number 7. So let's see what I can come up with. Okay, for the first base page, I've made up my mind. I'm going to do a side pocket with an acetate window in there. And I'm going to make a 5/8 inch frame. That means that on the sides with a score line, I'm going to draw a pencil mark at 1 1/8 of an inch from my cut edge. On the long side, I don't have a score line there. I'm going to draw a line at 5/8 of an inch from the cut edge. So this piece, you can find it in your cutting guide, of course, but it measures 9 3/4 by 5 3/4. And I've scored 1/2 inch on both sides on the short side, so that you line it up with the 9 3/4 inch on top of your scoreboard, and then score at 1/2 inch and at 9 1/4. I'm cutting out the inner rectangle. I wanted to say square, but okay, that's out. Now let's keep this piece here. Let's measure the size of my acetate. That will be 5 1/8 of an inch by 8 1/4. 5 1/8 by 8 1/4. So I'm going to tape this up using, you know what, I'm just going to do 1/4 inch tape around the perimeter of the acetate. I'm going to place 1/4 inch tape. Stay close to your cut edge, don't go over. So just to be clear, when I draw a frame on my pieces and cut it out, I always do that on the bumpy side. That's going to be the side that won't show after construction. And now I'm carefully going to attach this again on the bumpy side of the piece. Make sure that the tape is not overhanging on the inside of the frame. And when you burnish, try to burnish only on the tip, so you don't damage your acetate. That's it. Then when we turn it over, we have a nice frame there, a nice window. So getting our base page back in, fold on your score lines of this piece, of course, and burnish that towards your bumpy side. Tape should be on the dented side. So the tape is showing after folding, and now I think this is the right direction. It should line up on 3 sides. like this. So just like you make a base pocket page, the attachment now is the same. So I'm lining it up. Okay, I'm overthinking this. Burnish that. And stick it. So what I'm going to do is, this will be the back of the page. This will be the front of the page. I'm going to build on a little bit more here and just a little bit over here because I have one extra piece. This piece is your add-on flap that measures 8.5 inches by 8 3/4. And you scored on the 8.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, tape on the dented side again, and taper that 1/2 inch to hide your construction. And then this flap, fold it. We are going to attach on the left hand side of your page with the acetate pocket showing. So this flap will actually go over that pocket there. So I'm going for 2 photo flaps. So I've got one piece 4 1/4 by 6 3/4, and I'm going to score on with the 6 3/4 on top at 6 1/4. And I have one piece that is 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. And I'm going to score that piece with the 4 3/4 inside on top at 4 1/4. So I have one portrait direction and one landscape direction. Let's get some tape on there. On the dented side. And then I'm going to fold towards the bumpy side on both pieces. Get that base page back in, open it up. So this is the back side of the page. And what I'm going to do is the portrait direction one I'm going to place on the inside, but stay away from your score line. I'm going to center that as best as I can, and the other one will go on top, right there. And then you can really play around with closures. You can do a magnet, you can make a swing tab, you can make a pocket on one of these flaps where you can place something in that keeps it in place. So the options are endless. And we'll see what I'm going to do. But I'm going to center it as best as I can. So I have, I think, 1 1/4 on both sides. Just with my quick, no, that's not, yeah, about, yep. Okay, so just use my ruler here, 1 1/4. Making sure I'm away from the score line, from the fold. Try to get it straight. That's not straight. Something like this. Burnish it, and I'm going to place it like this now, but you can also switch that if you want, of course, but I think I like it this way. So again, centered about an inch. Yep. I'm not doing anything else. I'm going to think about the closure. Like I said, there are many opportunities, so I don't know yet. But that's it for the inside. Don't bulk it up too much. So page number 7. That's what we're working on. And what I did so far is this. And you don't notice, but after I've attached these two photo flaps in here, I had to take a recording break. And that lasted for more than a week. So in the meantime, I've been looking at this page, trying to think about what I want to do with it. And the more that I look at this page, the more I feel unhappy with the large flap being attached on this side. I just think I need to change it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change it because I'm not happy and I want to be happy with my album. So I'm going to use undo. If I'm able to open it, sometimes it's a struggle. And I'm going to carefully try to remove my flap here. And I don't mind if the tape is staying on there. Will try to remove that as well later on, but maybe I want to place my tape on the other side of this 1/2 inch flap. So I'm going to see what I like best. So in the meanwhile that it's drying, I can try to figure out what do I want, what's better. And this way, well, that's not cooperating with me at all at the moment, but then, yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to place my tape now on the, yeah, that's the bumpy side, on the inside of this 1/2 inch flap. And then it's also easier for me to use a magnet to keep it in place if I want to, so it doesn't catch on as much. That wasn't so easy with the flap on the other side. Okay, I'm just removing it and just taking my time to get it in that pocket, because as you noticed, that wasn't the easiest thing to get done for some reason. I think it's also catching on to the acetate on the inside. There we go. Yep. That's it. I think I will be happier with that. Now also, a while back I saw Scrap Queen using some sort of swivels as a swing tab, like these little things, to keep things in place, and I really like that idea. I found them on Amazon, so probably I'm going to use them as closures in the album, because I think it will go nice with this. So that's what I'm going to use as well. Yeah, I think I like this better, and then I can use a magnet to keep it closed here or something else. Okay, so the flap is now here. This is the back side of the page, and I have a little bit of room to build here. Not too much, but I can do it. So first thing I'm going to do is create a larger pocket on here. Yeah, so let's miter those corners. And I should have placed my tape, of course. That's because my project before this one, I work with the wet glue, so I'm out of it. That will be fixed soon enough. It's okay. Now, I haven't been working on this for a week, so I do need to get back in this project. Although I have been working on the decorating part a little bit. That's fun. It's a really nice collection. So okay. Nice large pocket, so we can place larger photos in there. And what I'm going to do is I can open it up like this. So this is the when we open it up, and then I turn it around, so it's going on the back side of the flap with the photo flaps in there. And I'm going to line it up starting at the cut edge on my left hand side, work my way to the folding, and I have a little bit of spacing there. That's what I'm aiming for. Okay. Gosh, I really have to think. Let's call it pregnancy brain or something. Let's use an excuse. So I'm starting in the corner here. Along the bottom, along the cut edge, and then place it there. And then on top of that, I want to do 2 flaps. So if I do, it will go to here and to there. So that's kind of perfect. So I'm gonna go for 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. So we're gonna do 2 flaps on top of the pocket. They will overlap slightly. And what I'm actually thinking about doing is make a little window in one of them, where I can still place a photo if I want to, or some pattern paper on this side, and then that would go on the bottom, that one, where again I can use a little swing tab to keep that in place, and then I have a little window here just like for a playful feature. So I'm going to take one, let's just see how it looks. So I've been going for 5/8 inch windows. And if I want to place a photo in the landscape direction, I would need at least 3 1/4 here. From top to bottom. So let's see how that looks. If I measure, I'm just going to line it up with a 1/4 inch on top and then measure 3 1/2. That's the same thing. Yeah. There. And then if I do 5/8 here, and the same thing here, and 1 1/8 on this side. Yeah, that looks nice. So I measured 3 1/4 from the top. Yeah, that's right. 3 1/4 from the top, and then 5/8 of an inch from the cut edge on bottom and the right hand side, and 1 1/8 of an inch from the left hand side, because you have your score line there. And I'm going to cut out that window, and then cut a piece of acetate to. Okay, so I cut a piece of acetate. It will be in the cutting guide, of course, but what I'm aiming for is that I have enough edge also on the sides so that I can hide it with my pattern paper, of course. So, because I don't want to see that. And I also have to remove my pencil marks far enough in. Okay, that's nice. So on purpose I only place my tape on the acetate because I don't want any tape showing on the inside here, because I won't be covering that up with pattern paper. So I'm only giving pressure on the tape here. Okay, then I'm going to place my 3/8 inch tape on the dented side of my 1/2 inch flaps. Now I do want to make sure that it fits and it lines up, that I don't have any overhang. So I'm making sure of that, and I rather cut it by in hair than I have overhang there. But it looks good. Yeah, that's nice. So this one. So I remove the tape backing here on one side. Make sure it's lined up. And then the other one, same thing, only goes on the other side. There we go. And I think I'm going to place this one on the bottom, this one on top, and then make that little swing closure here and just use pattern paper on this one. And then I still have photo opportunity here if I want to, but yeah, I could also place pattern paper there. And I have small photo opportunity here for a 3x4, and 6x4 will fit on these flaps. And then we can do something here if we want, and we have a large pocket for larger photos also there. And I think that's enough bulk for this page on this side. Then on the front, because we haven't done anything on the front yet, this I'm just going to leave like that. Okay, for the front of the page, so this is the inside. This will be the front, the binding is right here. I'm going to make a belly band. So again, we can place a photo mat behind it for larger or some collage of some smaller photos. So I'm going to burnish those fold lines. And I'm going to center that on the page. And then on top of the belly band, I'm going to make a pocket. So I've started out with a piece that I might cut down a little bit in height, but let's see how it looks. Yes, I think this is fine, and that will get a closure as well. First, I'm going to attach this right on the page, and I want to have it centered, so I'm going to measure that out. This is now 2 inches. That's too much. 1 3/4 probably. Yep, 1 3/4. So 1 3/4 from both sides, and I'm going to measure out the top as well because I'm using the pencil marks as a guideline there. To get the belly band straight, I'm going to place it sidewards. Sometimes I can struggle with pronouncing things. So again, I'm just opening it so I can lay it as flat as I can get it. I'm going to start on the other side. I don't know what I did, but the pencil marks on the top of the page are not placed very well. I like it when my belly band is kind of tight. I don't want it too loose. Okay. Now let's see. Again, I'm going to do some measuring. If I place it 2 inches from the bottom, what do I have left? 3 inches, so I can also go for 2 1/4. And then 2 1/4 from there. Yeah, I think I like that. So I'm going to make a little tick mark 2 1/4 from the bottom. And this is going to be somewhat tricky, but let's see. Just using the pencil mark as a guideline. Go along the edge of the belly band and there. So now I'm going to make a piece. I'm going to start again here 2 1/4 from the top, placing the closure. So I'm going to mark that quickly. 2 1/4. That's why it's not right. There, and then I think I want to have it about 1 3/4. So I'm going to cut it at 2 1/4. Yep, 2 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, I just realized if I do that, I'm not going to be able to put a 4 by 4 in here. So I'm going 2 inches from the top. It's not completely centered then, but okay, that's fine. I can live with it. And then I'll have 4 1/2. Okay, so then I want to have this piece 2 inches, so I'm going to make that piece 2 1/2 inches. And that's just how it goes when you're designing. You have to keep several things in account, knowing what you want with it. Like with this pocket, I want to be able to put something in there that's 4 to 4 1/4 inches high. So I need to take that in account, of course. So I'm going to taper that 1/2 inch, but I also think I'm going to make an angle in the closure. You can also use a corner rounder or something if you want to. but I think I am going to angle it. I am going 3/4 of an inch from my cut edge on this side, and let's do an inch here and let's see how that looks. Yep, I like that. I like that. So I'm going to use my pencil marks as my guideline again. Try to keep it flat. Start on one side, hold it in place with my thumb. Go to the other side and burnish it. So it's not completely centered on the belly band. If you want to have it completely centered, you go 2 1/8 of an inch from the top, 2 1/8 of an inch from the bottom, and then you're centered. Because I have now 2 1/4 on the bottom and 2 inches on top. So you just have to adjust it by 1/8 of an inch. And this is going to be it for page number 7. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to decorate before I'm going to put it in the actual album. So yeah, and I'm just, you know, like I said, I'm designing and working on it as I go. So probably in the times that I don't have time to film, I will decorate it and I just work my way up in the album. So I will show you quickly, not everything, because I will reveal everything in the project share, but you can see a quick preview of what I've done so far. This waterfall is laying so incredibly flat. It's amazing. I love it. So this one will go on this hinge, and then the next page I'm making is going to go on the hinge here on my right hand side, and it's going to be a shorter page. Yeah, I think that's it for this video, and in the next video I will be continuing with the page constructions, of course. So yeah, for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you follow me along, and I see you in the next video. So bye bye.